My friends, over the past few weeks, many people have been asking me what's been going on with Chris ever since his last hearing date, ever since we found out about the grand jury and everything, and honestly, not much has came out other than a few things that I haven't yet talked about on this channel, and we'll get to that real shortly. But I don't want to get your hopes up and tell you, oh man, Chris is getting out soon, oh man, Chris is staying there for another year. These are both possibilities, but we don't know for sure yet. So once we do know for sure, I'll let you know, but there are some other things going on that I did want to brush up on. I did want to tell you guys about because I feel like, we've been covering everything. We've been covering every letter, every happening. So I don't want to leave you out in the dark on the shit that's going on. But if you've been following along on Kiwi Farms or the Quickie, which honestly, as of right now, you can't do either of those things because those websites are down. But if you've been following along the past few weeks, you may know this shit already, but I don't think many people have talked about this in videos on here, so we're going to get into it now. There's a few things we can talk on. We can talk about, we'll start off with talking about the transportation order that's on Chris's, court records now, meaning that he could have been already transferred, he could be transferred in the next few days. We don't know yet, but there's other things we're going to talk about too, like the letter Kengles sent saying that they're taking Sonichu from Chris, and we were all talking about, oh, is Chris going to write back freaking out about it? We'll find out more about that too, because there's a little bit of an update on that. But like I said, there's a lot here to talk about, but we will start with the transportation order, and that just means that, yeah, Chris could be sent back to the mental institution where he was already at, or shit, he could be sent home. We talked about that last week, saying that, Chris could already be out of jail right now. But if you look on his records right now, it still says that Chris is at the jail that he's been in for the past year. But another thing that's changed is that the next hearing for Chris isn't until August 2023. A full year from now is the next time Chris will be appearing in court. So I think the biggest question we can ask is, what the fuck's going to happen from now till then? Is Chris going to go home? Is he going to stay in jail? Is he going to go to the loony bin again? No one knows for sure. If I were to make a guess, I'd guess that he's going back to the loony bin. That's just my personal speculation. I don't think Chris is going to go home after all this shit. I feel like if he was going to get out, he would have gotten out already. But then again, as I say in all these videos, I'm no lawyer. I don't know this shit for fact. But I'll say this, it's very telling that Chris, that over these past few weeks since the hearing happened, we haven't heard a goddamn thing from Chris. We haven't gotten a letter or anything. And, as we talked about, Kengle apparently sent Chris a letter saying that, we're not going to keep you in this Sonichu project we had planned before. And many people can say, maybe Chris had a freak out so bad that he was completely thrown into the loony bin again. I don't think that's it. And once again, I'll tell you all in a little bit why I'm almost positive that's not it. But I do think Chris could have easily been moved to that fucking place when he found out that he was going to have to wait a year again for his hearing. That's, again, just my speculation. But if Chris isn't in jail anymore, that's 100% where he is if he's not home, and we all know he's not home right now, because if he was home, people would have already found out about it, and Chris would have already been back on the internet. I also talked for a minute there on why the letters have stopped, and well, like I said, no one knows this for sure. The last time the letters stopped, that was when Chris got sent to the fucking mental hospital, so that could be a clear reason on why they've stopped. Now, the thing is, it's only been a few weeks. This has happened before where there's been a lull with these things, and there's only a few people who send Chris the letters as it is. So, Chris has always been frantic to get back to these people, but if shit's going on where Chris can't send the letters back, we would hear it already, but I don't know. It's a very confusing situation, because do I think Chris is in a place right now where he can send the letters? I don't think so, because if Chris had the ability to, he'd be getting his words out there. He always wants to. He always wants to be sure that he can tell people not to fuck with Sonichu. He always wants to be sure he can tell people that he's God and all this stuff. He can't help himself. When he can write letters, he will write these letters. So the fact that none of them are coming out right now just strikes me as, yeah, I don't think he's in a place where he can write them. So that's just, from my opinion, I think he probably got sent somewhere. But my speculation doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. Chris could send a letter and this could all just get blown up tomorrow, and this could not even matter. The fact of the matter is, what really matters is Chris being there and knowing what's happening for the future with him, if he's getting out, if he's not. And like I said, it doesn't look like he's getting out anytime soon, and for good reason, because who knows what type of mental state Chris is in. And yeah, it's just, you can't let a dude calling himself Jesus Christ out of jail, especially a dude who doesn't see the error of what he did. But when more solid proof comes out about where Chris exactly is, I'll be sure to update y'all on this. But like I said, as for right now, it says that he's still at the jail on the website. But then again, there was also that news last week that anything going on with the trial, anything going on with like Chris's whole shit going on right now, it will be all off the record, meaning that no one in public is going to be able to find out about it until it's over, which seems weird. Seems really weird, but I mean, shit, people were reporting this from the courthouse and all. So we may not find out about this for an entire year. That's what's so interesting about this, is that this could be the last time we hear for Chris in quite a long time. And if it is, it might be a good thing. It might be a good reason for Chris to like kind of all soothe our brains, get all this garble Chris has been putting out for a while out of our heads. But it's just weird to think that, because Chris for years now, for his whole life, has been prominently on the internet almost every time he can be. And this past year was his first year maybe ever, or at least in the past 20 years since the internet's been a prominent fixture in his life. It was the first time Chris has been completely out of the public eye, completely out of the internet and shit like that. And it's just wild to think, because even after this past year, he still had the letters, people were still talking about him, there were still phone calls of Chris getting out. But this could be the first ever time, the first true lull since around when Chris's dad died. This could be the end of us hearing for Chris for quite a long time, and I wouldn't be too surprised if that's the case, because they probably don't want Chris sending any more of these fucking crazy letters and incriminating himself any more than he already has. His letters have been an absolute mess of just him incriminating himself and him going on and on and on for pages upon pages about his Sonichu shit and what he thinks, what he wants people to know is canon, what isn't canon, and how he wants to continue his story. Just has to, he writes all different types of bullshit in these letters. And, it's the reason why I think that, he wouldn't be able to help himself from sending these out. Because last week we covered a fucking essay Chris wrote to Kengles, where he just went on and on and on about the Sonichus and everything he wanted to do with the Sonichu world, because there had been a plan in place for Kengles and all these other people to take hold of Sonichu and help Chris with it while he was in jail, which is all changed now. Once again, I can't wait to tell you guys about this. Once we're done this match on screen right now, which I haven't even gotten into, by the way, is Chris versus his own dad. It's a slobber knocker too. But after this, we're going to talk about these letters Kengles sent Chris, and you're going to I bet you guys are going to have a pretty good laugh with this one, because it's some pathetic ass shit. But where was I again? Yeah, the new Sonichu shit. Chris took it so seriously, he wanted these people to set up the Sonichu temple for him. No, I'm sorry, not the Sonichu temple. It was the Sonichu base. I'm sorry, how could I forget about the Sonichu base? The Sonichu base was going to be a website where Chris and them could put up all their Sonichu shit, and that's still happening, but it's happening without Chris, maybe. As I said, we're going to get to this one. I'm going to keep hyping it up. But, it shows that while Chris has been behind bars, all he's been caring about is this Sonichu shit. It's literally, even though he's in jail, even though he knows he's fucked, at the end of the day, all he cares about is the Sonichu shit. And he'll just convince himself that the dimensional merge is going to happen, that he's going to meet these characters soon, because it's probably the one thing he has left to keep him from fully and completely breaking. You hear these letters, you see all the shit he writes, and you probably already thought he's already broke. There's still probably one or two fucking little strings holding on before him completely losing it, and that's the Sonichus. They are the strings in his head keeping him from completely going off the fucking rails. But yeah, I guess the best way to put it is, the August update is that Chris has most likely been transferred somewhere. We won't know about it, and if we do know about it, it will be because of a letter Chris sends out. So until Chris sends another letter, we're not going to know anything more. But if he does send another letter out and we do find out about it, which is still up in the air, then you can most likely expect many more letters and more correspondence with Chris while he's in there. But if he doesn't send anything anytime soon, then yeah, expect to most likely not hear from this man for about a year. The only last thing we can talk about is Barb, because what the fuck's been going on with Barb? Chris claims in the letters one thing about Barb, then changes it up to another thing. We had talked about before that Chris had said that Barb's extended family, the family that casted them out and never talked to them over the years, finally did show up and helped Barb out. But, in the last letter, he said that they don't make the drive down there very often anymore. How would he know all this? Is he still in correspondence with Barb? I don't know. But if he is, that would mean that she's most likely still home. And yeah, if she's still home, just living it up at the fucking Sonichu temple, which Chris is absolutely livid about, by the way. A couple weeks ago in a letter, remember, he called her a redneck and said she's so lazy and she needs to get the fuck out of his house and shit so he can go home and relax. And that's probably what Barb's doing right now. She's probably just kicking her feet up, just relaxing at the house without dealing with this fucking monster creeping over her shoulder every third night. It's Barb's probably living the good life while Chris is in jail. At least you gotta hope so. We talk about it all the time. Barb was a shitty parent, terrible person, but she didn't deserve this. So you can only hope that she's able to relax in the Sonichu Temple while Chris is reaping what he sowed in jail. And, I am happy that in the background here, Bob was able to get a little bit of revenge against Chris. I mean, he got a good little bit, but for the most part, Chris has been beating that ass, I gotta say, Chris in this wrestling ring is unstoppable. No matter what you do to this man, he will just not stop coming at you. Every single person who has stepped into this ring with Chris has become his victim, When you decide to get into the ring with Chris, when you sign your name on that contract, you might as well be changing your name to Barb Chandler, because you are Chris's victim. And yeah, that's really what's been going on with Chris. But like I said, there's still one thing I wanted to look into, and that's the letter that Kengles sent Chris. Kengles sent Chris a letter, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, that said, yeah, Chris, we're kicking you out of the Sonichu project. You're no longer involved in it. We're going to be taking Sonichu from you, and moving forward, you'll just have no parts in it. We're going to edit you out and do all this shit. And, we had talked about it, and we said, damn, this is really going to piss Chris off. The next letter, when it comes out, Chris is going to be losing his fucking mind. And a lot of people had said the same thing, oh my God. I remember looking at my comment, and people were like, holy shit, Chris is really going to be fucking mad when he gets this letter. We're going to see a freak out among no freak outs we've ever seen before. But it seems like Kengel has gotten some cold feet and pussied out of this, and has retracted that a little bit. Now, we've read many Chris letters in the past, but here's the first Kengel letter we're gonna read, and it's not very entertaining to read Kengel shit, but knowing the facts behind it, and that he was really willing to kick Chris out of Sonichu, but then backed up on it real fucking fast, it's pretty goddamn funny. But the match in the ring now, however, just came to an end. Chris decided to put his dad away with the greetings from Quickville, and Bob Chandler can now rest in peace. And finally, Chris can fuck his father over one last time. Jesus. This is the letter that Kengel supposedly sent to Chris. Now, it's pretty harsh. Just wait till the second page. This is the letter of excommunication, where they said, we're done. They're completely changing Sonichu to their own image. This is Kengel and Helena and all them people. And yeah, this was a letter from Kengel that he sent to Chris, and let's go ahead and read it. Christine, this is how it will come together. We are envisioning a diverse multiverse of characters. Sonichen and Rosechen will be fully integrated. I am going to envision inclusiveness among the autism/Asperger community, neurodiversity. Oh, you fucking know. If Chris read this letter, the second he heard that, his hand was just trembling. He was just seconds away from ripping this letter to shreds. But then he says, I am going to allow a high degree autonomy in character development. That just basically means, yeah, Chris, all your characters, they'll control how they go now, which once again probably pissed Chris the fuck off had he read this letter. We don't even know if he got this, though. If he did, you know how he's going to react to this. Kengel draws that on one Earth, which is Earth, there will be Sonichu and Rosechu, and then on another planet called Gauss, there will be Sonichen and Rosechen. Who gives a fuck? You know who does give a fuck? Chris, and this probably, oh man, there's only one Earth in Sonichu, and it's the one that Sonichu and Rosechu are on. Anything else, Chris is not having it. Now here's the part that you knew Chris fucking went nuts with. Sonichu and Rosechu will be completely broken down and recreated from scratch. Now, that's what the trolls wanted Chris to do over 10 years ago. We're covering the Alec Benson Leary calls right now, and we're about to hear Alec talk about it right now. But just hearing someone say it in the modern age, when Chris is completely and firmly so against anything other than just what he wants with Sonichu and Rosechu, it's just, like I said, once again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but it's the truth. You just know that Chris is fucking, at this point, he was screaming. If his hands were shaking already, at this point, he was punching the walls. Christine, me, Eels, and Eggman, and Helena were very upset over your previous letters on wishing for Barb to kick the bucket, as well as your shady fundraiser to raise $150,000 and pushing Barbara into a nursing home. I can't imagine the horror of that poor woman being raped. Let's call it for what it is. Okay, first off, Kengles now being completely honest, telling the God's honest truth to Chris. But as I said, there will be another letter we read after this, which the tone has shifted completely in that one. But it's good to see, at least for a few seconds, Kengles like, yeah, Chris, let's be honest, you're a fucking creep, and then that's just the fact of the matter. But like I said, he doesn't keep this tone for very long. But it should be how people, this should be how you refer to Chris, just being like, dude, what the fuck, like you dead ass did that, and it's gross. Christine, you cannot be the face of Sonichu and Rosechu in the Sonichu project. You are being excommunicated and cast out. This was the consensus between me, Eels, and Helena. Signed, Kenneth Englehart. And at this point, the shaking of the hands turned to the fucking punching of the walls, turned to a scream so loud that I bet you birds like 20 miles away flew out of their trees. That little line, that couple sentences, that probably just drove Chris up the fucking wall. And if he had the ability to, he'd have a letter out right the fuck now, telling these motherfuckers, like, who do you think you are? That's my shit. If you take it, you'll be in the fucking realm of the toxics and the haters. Matter of fact, you'll be even worse than that. You'll be, like, in the worst toxic and hater dimension. I'll smite you down. I'll cast you out of the... Chris would lose his mind. So that's... Like I said, if you're reading this, you'd think, man, like, Chris definitely would have responded by now. The fact that he hasn't means something's going on. But, like I said, this isn't the only letter Kengles sent to Chris. Let's skim over the other one he sent, 'cause it's kind of funny after reading that one. So Kengles starts out by saying, Christine, I have enclosed the following flow chart for Sonichu. Now, I'll put that on the screen right now so you guys can see it. It's just him saying, this is what Sonichu is, this is what Sonichu isn't, this is canon, this isn't canon, but we can have a good mix of both, yada, yada, yada. Like I said, kind of going back on what he was saying in that last letter. Me, Helena, and Eels have talked about this extensively and are in agreement about a partial retraction. Of course they are. Kengle couldn't have this sent out for more than a few days before, like, having night terrors of, oh god, Chris must be in there just putting so many curses on me, what can I do? But here is the quote-unquote new normal. There is room for Sonichu, according to the canon that you have provided, but Sonichu has to transition, Rosechu's already done that, to a multiverse with both canon and non-canon, which means that Sonichan and Rosechen and other derivatives are going to be part of this multiverse. So, he's not budging on adding these, like, Asian variations of the Sonichus. Like, they really want them in this comic, Sonichan and Rosechen. So Kengle's not budging on that. He's saying, like, look, they have to be in this shit no matter what. And even that might be enough for Chris to still lose his fucking mind. But it's a lot less of a kick in the balls than yeah, you're completely done with this. But you see, Kengle's trying to act like, he's in control here. They see that Chris is in jail. They know that they're his only outlet to the outside world. But the problem is, if you're already kicking your feet without Chris even responding to you yet, Chris is 100% in charge still. Just have to be the one to say it. The public face of Sonichu, also known as the public spokesperson for Sonichu, who will guide the Sonichu genre, has to pass from you to a quote-unquote board of directors, and you need to acknowledge this openly. So once again, Kengle's basically asking for Chris's permission instead of just telling him this shit, saying, listen, you have to yourself decide who the face of this is. The only time I think Chris has ever willingly stepped down from a position of power is when he had to step down from being the mayor of Quickville because he was fucking God now. Because he was like a superpower, a superhero, or whatever the fuck. And who'd he give that job to? I think it was his secretary, Allison Amber, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was it. Because Brendan Fraser was in there for a little bit, but he got strong-armed into doing that. And it seems like he's being strong-armed again into finding a new face of the Sonichu genre. They said the name like 7 times in that one sentence. Well, 3 times exactly. But the public face of Sonichu, the public spokesperson for Sonichu, who will guide the Sonichu genre. Well, why not Sonichu? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's amazing to me that they're having this type of, like, oh, God, who will be the face of the Sonichu franchise? That's like asking, oh, God, this new Spider-Man comic is so good, but who's the star? Like, who do we put on the front cover here? It's just they're just trying to beat around the bush and just trying to play nice for Chris now. There is a place for you as a content creator. However, you have to remain in the background quietly. You act like Chris is gonna do any of this, but even then, you're basically asking him to be like a quiet side chick, be like, hey, you can be like whatever, but you just have to remain in the fucking background. You can be with us, but you just have to, just not show your face when we're out in public. Because he's such a fucking piece of shit. I mean, it's a piece of shit thing to say, but genuinely, it'd be funny if Chris did that, but no, Chris wants to still be in the comics. He wants to plaster his fucking face on the front of that comic too. There's so much shit that Chris wants here that you guys aren't giving him, and he'll never accept this. Even though it's more of a compromise than the last letter, Chris is just going to ixnay both of these and tell Kengel to probably fuck off, and then realize, well, wait a minute, he's the only source I have to the outside world, so come back, Kengel, but do what I want while you come back. And most likely Kengel will probably do it, because this is the dude did this shit. Kengel then says, income and commissions in general, an income statement is total revenue dash expenses equal net income from canon and non-canon. The income from the canon side would be a reasonable profit sharing arrangement since you would be a major contributor. You know what? I'm just gonna cut all that out and say no. Chris is not going to agree to this. Chris's idea of negotiating is, okay, I get all the power and all the control and all the money, and you guys just help me out in my quest to do so. Fair trade? Fair trade? That's how Chris wants to negotiate. So Chris is not going to accept that shit. But then Kengel finally ends it with the things he has to stay firm on. Things that are not possible. A fundraiser to buy off the house. Nobody will send $150,000. I'd imagine Chris is very adamant in that to these people when writing them, that he needed that $150K. And it's just classic Chris. It's classic Chris to think that was an actual possibility, but you fucking know that he really thought that was an actual possibility. Expecting Sonichu to be marketed as a kid's comic. That's true. That is true. You posted Sonichu and Rosechu's Love Shack back in 2009. The damage is permanent. Sonichu cannot recover from this. And that's just completely true, and that's something people have talked about for years. The fact that Chris thinks Sonichu still has the ability to make it as like a children's comic. Like, first off, doesn't have the ability to make it as any type of actual like serious money-making property, but for Chris to think it could be a children's comic when there's pictures of like Sonichu and Rosechu fucking out there that he's drawn himself, it's just it's so funny to me. Like, he thinks we can go from this to this. Like, all the Sonichus brutally murdered Alec Benson Leary and his friends. Like, and they would make a perfect place. They would have a perfect spot on the lineup on Cartoon Network every fucking week, next to like, oh God, who's still around on those channels? Is Ed, and Eddie still around? Like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched cartoons since I was a kid, but yeah. So that's a good point from Kengel there. And finally, if you are interested, I will explain more, Kenneth. So, yeah, I guess the few things we can take from that, number one is that the people who still surround Chris and talk to him are just as slow as Chris himself. And secondly, and the more important thing is that, once Chris reads that letter, if he reads both of them, maybe he only got the second one. Who knows if Kengel even sent that first one. But if he did, I doubt Chris is even going to want to look at that second one. But yeah, you're bound to see a freak out if Chris ever gets back to anyone on that letter. But like I said, at this point, that was sent out on, I think, like the beginning of August, like August 7th, August 8th. So yeah, I don't think we're going to hear anything from Chris, but if we do, expect it'd be the quite angry letter. But that's really the update. We haven't heard much on Chris since the grand jury hearing, and we're just gonna have to keep an eye on that, like the court website. What is it, the VineLink website? And that's where you can keep tabs on and see if Chris has left the jail or not. But, once something happens, I'll be sure to update y'all. But I wanted to fill you in on all the other little things going on, and I hope I did a good job, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So before I go, I want to give some shout-outs. I want to give those shout-outs to Vanessa, Krabby, Sky, Liz Vendor, Worman, Bjornson, Your Mom, Scaly Schisms, Echo Spectre, Mick Surly, Kaitan, Akiba's Beat Fan, Isaiah, Churlish, Music Biz Marty's Bong, Cody Hale, the Ghostbusters fan, The Night Owl, Phelan's Party Place, and our old friend Club Doom. And that's another place to go subscribe to if you're looking for good Chris Chan content. You should go subscribe to Club Doom. He's one of the goats. And yeah, I want to thank all you goats who made it this far in the fucking video. I know it was a long one, and yeah, I just want to thank y'all for tuning in. It's the weekend, my friends, so it's a good time to chill out, relax, and just have an overall chill time. You know, it's the last weekend of August. Some see it as the last weekend of summer. And, you know, I just want you all to enjoy it like I'm going to enjoy it, you know? Enjoy the warm weather. It's warm fucking everywhere right now. It doesn't matter where you are. It seems to be hot as hell. But just pour yourself up a cold one or roll yourself up a fat one and have a wonderful weekend, my friends. And I'll catch you on the next one. And until I see you then, be safe. And, yeah, just take care, guys.